Heaven sent.
The time has finally come, my friends. Summertime is upon us, and while this may be a great time for outdoor activities such as camping, attending festivals, and getting them oh so attractive tan lines, sometimes we're just looking to beat the heat, crack open a cold one, and indulge ourselves in some good old-fashioned gaming. But if you're anything like me, I'm a seasonal guy, and when it comes to summer, it's a very nostalgic time of year for me. I often look back on those days of playing outside with my friends, the freedom of having no school for 3 months, riding our bikes all over God's creation, and of course, drinking out of a cold water hose. So good. But another thing that's very nostalgic about the summertime for me is all the great games that I used to play. And since summer is right around the corner, I thought I would take this time to list some of my summertime favorites, and hopefully give you guys some recommendations worth revisiting, or maybe even checking out for the first time. So without further ado, let's pump up our floaties, break out the sunscreen, and get ready to enjoy some of the early 2000s greatest offerings in summertime gaming. Kicking off our list on a strong note, I figured I'd have to state the obvious right from the jump. Few games have ever succeeded in capturing the essence of summertime fun quite like Super Mario Sunshine on the Nintendo GameCube. Gaming's favorite plumber is back in action once again, and this time around, he's found his luck going straight into the toilet. Upon setting out with Princess Peach for a vacation to Isle Delfino, Mario and his lady are greeted by a goop-spewing piranha plant, which Mario is given the task of defeating. We defeat the monster, but it's only the beginning of what spells trouble for Mario and his beloved Peach. There's a shadow version of Mario causing havoc around the island, vandalizing its landscapes and citizens, in turn causing the island's power source of the Shine Sprites to disappear, covering the island in shadow. Mario is now being blamed for this, in which he's arrested and given community service to clean the island of all vandalism. The Shadow Mario then kidnaps Princess Peach, of course, and now it's up to Mario to both clean the island, collect Shine Sprites, and once again save his clumsy damsel in distress. The game's world is incredibly beautiful, taking you throughout many tropical settings. You'll collect exotic fruits, hang out with the colorful Pianta and Noki citizens, and find yourself platforming through some of Nintendo's most unique landscapes ever created. While Sunshine does play like your typical 3D Mario experience, the use of the FLUDD system really brings a whole new level of gameplay. This robotic satchel that you have strapped to your back is not only used for cleaning up the island and attacking enemies, but it can also help you reach new heights, acting as a sort of jetpack for Mario. There are a litany of secret areas to explore, and also Yoshis that can be ridden to reach areas that your backpack is unable to. The island in which the game takes place on is vast and beautifully designed, and the game's wondrous tropical soundtrack only furthers its luscious summertime aesthetic. This is a game that I have very fond memories of playing as a kid, especially with my friends, and even coming back to it today, I'm happy to say that it's aged incredibly well. It's a game that you can't help but to feel good while playing, as Nintendo is no stranger to creating charming atmospheres in their games, but when it comes to Sunshine, it just scratches that much needed itch when experiencing some summertime fever. Not to mention, this game will really make you want to eat some fruit, so your doctor will definitely approve. It was an ambitious direction for Nintendo to take with the game, but its beloved fanbase and critical acclaim have proven these efforts to be more than worth the risk. So if you're looking for a great way to break into the spirit of summer and unwind with one of gaming's greatest icons, Super Mario Sunshine is a safe bet for gamers of any age. It's a game that stands the test of time, and most of all, it's visually stunning. So what are you waiting for? Pack your favorite suspenders, and let's get to cleaning, my friends. Next up in our roster of retro summertime goodness, we find ourselves revisiting a cult classic. It all started in the arcades of 1999, when Crazy Taxi first stepped onto the scene, encouraging its players to ignore all traffic laws and keep the pedal to the floor. All in the name of quality customer service, of course. Crazy Taxi is a game that I'm sure many of my fellow old school gamers will be able to remember, as it was really one of the best arcade racers of its time. Taking a unique approach with its time-based objectives and booming soundtrack, the game really captures that youthful late 90s angst, delivering an experience that's comparable to crowd surfing at your local Warped Tour back in the day. Your mission is simple, you're a taxi driver, and people have places to go. Only problem is, everyone in the city is seemingly in need of a ride at the same time, so you better step on it if you want to make the most money. You'll drive around picking up patrons and delivering them to a wide variety of destinations. Every time you deliver a customer in a timely manner, your timer will reset, and it's up to you to find another one before the clock strikes 0. It's a simple yet fast-paced style of gameplay, and one that can be very addicting. And with its overwhelming success in the arcade, it was only right that Sega would re-release the game for home console. The very first at-home version of Crazy Taxi was released on the Sega Dreamcast on January 24th of 2000. Boasting a stable 60 frames per second and giving players access to new modes, the console version was a great success, and many players were enthralled with its wacky yet adrenaline-inducing gameplay. The game is set in a fictional reimagining of San Francisco, taking note of the city's many steep hills and massive buildings. The overall aesthetic of the game is very summer-influenced, with sunny beaches being a destination for many patrons, as well as the surfer boy stylings of The Offspring being a major staple in the game's soundtrack. For me personally, the game has that kind of atmosphere that you would feel on a summertime road trip, kind of carefree and just wild. The game features a roster of 4 different characters to choose from, all with their own personal cabs to drive. And while these are just cosmetic options, you'll likely grow to love each character for their own unique and colorful personalities. As I had previously mentioned, both the arcade and console versions of the game include a licensed soundtrack, mostly comprised of The Offspring and Bad Religion. Now the track listing in this game is iconic, especially for those who are fans of the punk genre. Each track fits the game perfectly, and truly heightens the excitement of the fast-paced gameplay. And while I personally do prefer the arcade version over the home console, it still does the job when looking for a fun, summertimey game to play during the upcoming months. It's classic in both the realms of arcade gaming and Sega's unique catalog, and is a game that I find myself revisiting often. So if you're looking for a fast-paced way to soak up some sun and earn a little extra cash, then Crazy Taxi is sure to satiate those summertime cravings. Happy driving, folks. Now when it comes to summertime fun in the sun, what better way to get your feet in the sand and your hair in the wind than a nice game of volleyball? Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball takes this spirited summertime favorite and capitalizes on men's insatiable craving for anatomically disproportionate virtual vixens. The game brings us to Zack Island, a beautifully scenic locale with many amenities and sandy beaches. The island is named after the DOA character Zack, who is also voiced by Dennis Rodman. Zack has came upon a large sum of money after hitting a casino jackpot and decided to spend his winnings on a personal island for him and his entourage of kung fu fighting sugar babies. Upon starting the game, you get to choose which lady you'd like to play as. I personally went with Ayane, due to us sharing the same birthday. Yeah, that's the only reason. We're then greeted by Lisa, who will become our first partner in hitting the volleyball court. The overall concept of the game is pretty simple. You play volleyball, you earn money, and then you spend your hard-earned money on cosmetic swimsuits and outfits for your character. Or if you're anything like me, you just gamble it all away at the resort casino. Do you think the loan sharks will ever find me here? Back at your hotel room, you'll usually receive a daily gift from Zack, which you can choose to keep for yourself or use them as gifts. The gifting system is made as an incentive to win over other girls in which you have interest in playing volleyball with. Each character has their own personal taste, and buying them gifts that match their personality will ensure they want to go the distance with you. Try to give them something they have no interest in, and they'll have no problem letting you know about it. Also, why am I able to buy a gun? Is it because my character doesn't take rejection very well?
You'll regret this.
Anyhow, there are multiple minigames and beautiful scenic views to pass the time, as well as an incredible licensed soundtrack comprised of artists such as the Baha Men and Spice Girls. So your ears are sure to be indulging in the sweet summer tones of the early 2000s. Now let's talk about the main reason we're here. No, not that. The volleyball. While the mechanics of the game are quite simple with only 2 buttons being used for attacking and receiving, the gameplay is actually really fun. You'll find yourself getting very competitive with other rival teams, as well as putting those jiggle physics to good use. The gameplay is fluid, and the lack of a HUD makes the beautifully crafted backdrops that much more stunning. If there's any game that can seriously capture the spirit of both summertime and the aesthetic of early 2000s gaming, it's DOA Extreme Volleyball, a game that really surprised me with how fun it is, and is a total feel-good experience all around, no pun intended. So if you're looking for a virtual vacation with plenty of eye candy to boot, be sure to include this game in your summer rotation. I can confidently say, you won't be disappointed. If you've seen my previous video, Crime Games of the early 2000s, then you probably know that I'm a big fan of committing felonies. Rather, it should come as no surprise that the next game on our list is hailing from the sunny shores of Vice Beach, with of course, Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Following up to the legendary Grand Theft Auto 3, GTA Vice City was a colossal title in the year of 2002, with its breathtaking reimagining of Miami, Florida, and its wonderfully charming 80s aesthetic. Going back to the era of feathered bangs and jeans tight enough to make a compression sock blush, we find ourselves in the whimsical year of 1986, following the narrative of the ever so charming Tommy Vercetti. Tommy has just been released from prison, and finds himself in the middle of a drug deal gone wrong. With his boss now holding him responsible for losing the money supplied for the deal, Tommy has no choice but to turn back to what he knows best, and that's crime. And while you'd probably have to have been born yesterday to have never played Vice City, I think it's safe for me to spare you guys any more details on the basis of the game's plot. Summer never ends on Vice Beach, and there's plenty of nooks and crannies to explore throughout the widely developed open world. Rockstar had really outdone themselves in the time they had taken to create the game's world, and as a current Florida native, I can say with confidence that they really nailed the vibe of what it's like to explore the Sunshine State. From the golf carts roaming the city streets, people mumbling to themselves on the sidewalks, and geriatric men in swimsuits thinner than my patience in front of a microwave, this game is Florida to a T, and I've always loved cruising its beautifully designed landscapes. Vice City was also the very first game in the series to introduce motorcycles as well as scooters. And let's face it, what screams summertime more than cruising on a moped into the sunset? The 80s soundtrack is to die for, and is surely responsible for carrying the spirit of 80s music taste for multiple generations now. I mean, I was born in '93, but I still knew the words to Billie Jean before I could ever recite a Green Day song, thanks to this game. The typical offensive humor of the GTA universe is in full swing, and is a nice respite from the modern woes of cancel culture. The game carries a witty yet very gritty tone throughout, even incorporating some real-life events of the 80s into the game's narrative. It's kind of a mixed bag of all that you could ask for in a game: a great story, fun gameplay, and charming ambiance. And most of all for the sake of this list, it's everything you could ever ask for in the spirit of summertime. So if you find yourself looking to cool down and beat the outside heat for a couple of hours, it may be time to put on your favorite blazer, break out that trusty cheat code sheet, and tuck in for a night of neon-soaked adventure. Just try not to piss Diaz off. The guy's got a temper. So far in this list, we've covered the likes of a platforming classic, as well as a neon-soaked homage to the 80s. But how about a recommendation for those looking to kick back, slow things down, and enjoy the beautiful summertime scenery? Well, my friends, I present to you an all-time personal favorite of mine, with Final Fantasy X. The overall aesthetic language of this game is purely captivating. It presents itself in a world that has stuck with me for multiple decades now. From the beautiful tropical island of Besaid to the wonderful sights of Lucca and its massive stadium, almost every location in this game is dripping with vibrant colors and impeccable detail, with most locales being surrounded by water or other tropical scenery. You'll find yourself venturing throughout different islands, as well as taking part in the game's water-based sport, by the name of Blitzball. Blitzball is essentially underwater rugby, and man, have I always wished that it was a real thing. I remember me and my friends used to always try and play blitzball in the pool as kids, but unfortunately, gravity was always such a buzzkill. Anywho, the game's narrative begins with our main character Titus being sucked into what looks like the Earth's asshole, in which he finds himself being spit out into a new dimension over 1,000 years later. With only the recollection of his former life and mounting confusion on how he had gotten here, Titus makes friends along the way, and joins them in their mission to protect the beautiful summoner by the name of Yuna. Now this game's story is absolutely phenomenal, and I wouldn't dream of spoiling it for anyone who's yet to give it a playthrough. But if you know, then you know. The turn-based combat is both satisfying and engaging, with many different options for combat, ensuring every fight will invoke a sense of strategy. Characters can be swapped out on the fly, with each character having their own set of strengths and weaknesses, and a sphere grid system is implemented for full control over the progression of each character. And with the gameplay being so laid back yet exciting, it only further plays into the virtual vacation that Final Fantasy X can be for its players. Every locale you visit in the game is chock full of lore, with plenty of characters and little intricacies to interact with. There are a variety of side quests to embark on, with some of these quests being necessary to achieve some of the game's greatest weapons, which I've always had such a blast in collecting. This is a game that I've been playing ever since I was in elementary school, and it's one that I've almost made a tradition to revisit every summer. And while my words may not do justice to how visually stunning the game is, hopefully I've been able to encourage you all to take a look for yourself. From lovable characters, engaging story, and a beautiful soundtrack to boot, everything we love about Final Fantasy is here in the 10th installment. But for me personally, the world of this one is by far my favorite. So do yourself a favor this summer, pour yourself a nice cold drink, put your feet up, and immerse yourself in the mesmerizing journey back to Xanarkand, because I promise, it'll be more than worth your while. Hello there. I'm gonna put these back on because I can't see too well. That was my top 5 retro games for summertime enjoyment. I hope you all enjoyed the list, and please comment down below if there's any games you think I missed out on. As always, I just want to thank you guys for all the support you guys have shown in my channel lately. Your support really means the world to me, and for once in my life, I'm getting to do something that I love with all of my heart, so thank you guys. My next video is going to be something very personal and very different from anything I've done in the past, so I hope you guys can keep an open mind and be just as excited as I am to put this out. It's still gaming related, don't worry. But like I said, I can't wait to show you guys, and I hope you all enjoyed this video for now. But until next time, please, take care of yourselves, and I hope to see you in the next video. Peace out.